Okay, Vols held their second scrimmage and their final scrimmage of the fall on Friday. The offense, according to sources, it's funny, when everybody uses unnamed sources and you don't like what they're saying, fans get mad.
Yeah.
I don't hear anybody complaining right now about the sources and what they're saying out of the scrimmages. It's like, give me more unnamed sources. Find anybody. So a lot of sources talking, and from what the sources said, the offense took some steps forward. The defense was ahead of the offense. Scrimmage won, to be expected. This week, the offense took a few steps forward. Defense still strengthened the team, but there were at least some pluses. Specifically, Ryan, it sounded like there were a few sparks in the passing game.
There were. Now, some guys that were out, and I think there were some missed assignments, frankly, that led to some of the bigger plays in the passing game.
Defensive guys who were out.
Yeah, defensive guys who, some guys on the defensive line that were out, for instance, and you're mixing and matching still some different combinations. So I think some missed assignments and some other things like that maybe led to some big plays. But the bottom line is you did have a better day in the passing game. Mike Matthews showed up, Travis Smith, Rodarius Jackson. You still don't have Braylon Staley out there. Chris Brazzell still wasn't out there. That's the bad news. But the good news is you're at least making some plays in the passing game, and there were more positives offensively to talk about. I don't know that everyone's ready to say this passing game is going to set the world on fire, but it was much better than it looked the week before.
Has the offense, and I know you wrote this at GoVols 24/7, has the offense scored a touchdown that you know of yet? First team offense?
Against the first team defense, I don't think so. Yeah. But now, how many opportunities
what
are they getting in scrimmages?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying they may be getting 3 or 4 drives in scrimmages. So you're not playing a full game against the ones. You're just getting a few opportunities.
I just know people are talking about that because it came up a couple weeks ago. A reminder that in 1998, the offense didn't score on that Tennessee defense. So people are taking it as, this defense is going to be as good as that defense.
Well, Mike Matthews hit a big Joey Aguilar hit a big play to Mike Matthews. He got inside the 5, I believe. The defense kind of bowed its neck from there, got a stop, forced a short field goal. So points, but no touchdowns that I've heard about against the first team defense.
Anybody else have anything that stood out to them? I'll get to Josh Heupel and what he said about the quarterbacks in just a second. Anybody else have anything that they heard coming out of the scrimmage that caught your ear?
Well, I think sometimes you can choreograph if you want one side of the ball to have a little bit more success, too.
Certainly.
So there could be some situational stuff that may have popped up there. I think when you hear pass plays continue to go to Deshaun Brame, I think that's encouraging because that also is in line with what we've heard throughout camp. I think the tight ends have had a great one. I know we'll get to some of those other positions, but I think you can look at some positives on the offensive side, even though the defense still carries this football team right now.
Sounds like Jesse Perry's going to lock up the right guard position. What does that mean for center? I've been a huge proponent of wanting William Satterwhite to start at that position because of the versatility that Sam Piddleton brings to the table. Sounds like Sam Piddleton might actually outrun center at William Satterwhite, which I don't know if that's more about William and the recruiting against Penn State or if this is on Sam Pendleton. We knew Pendleton would factor in just where. Good on Jesse Perry. He's a great story, and I'm talking to a lot of people behind the scenes. You need a good story, and Jesse is that for Glenn Ellerby's offensive line.
John, I was told that on Tuesday's practice at Tennessee, the quarterbacks did not have a good day, but they did much better during the scrimmage. So I think the word used by Heupel was progress.
I heard on Thursday that it was not great, that the quarterbacks, the receivers didn't look good in the Thursday night practice. They had some donors in there, and the word that filtered back to me was you had a couple of interceptions that came off receivers' hands on that day. So I still think I don't think it's just a quarterback. I don't think it's just a receiver. I think it's that pass game remains a question mark. Right. And until those guys get on the field, until the receivers get on the field and work repeatedly with the guy who's going to be the starter, I'm going to have concerns. So let's talk about who's going to be the starter. Josh Heupel made an interesting comment after the scrimmage the other day saying, I thought both of them handled themselves extremely well. George did as well. I think that is a message. The word that got out last week, and we talked about on this show, it was looking more like Aguilar was not running away with the job.
Right.
Everyone knows that McIntyre probably has the most talent of anybody over there, though he is green, though he is $150 soaking wet. And it seems to me that Tennessee wanted to stick a pin in that balloon and pop that and make it say, no, this is Merklinger and this is Aguilar. My question is, no one seems to think it's Merklinger. How long are we going to, and Aguilar got most of the snaps. How long are we going to continue to say that it's these two guys competing? Why not just say it's Aguilar and give him these last 2 weeks with the majority of the snaps? Maybe that's the plan. If so, great. Why not just say it?
Because Josh Heupel thinks there's some value in keeping it a mystery to Syracuse and whoever else might be listening. He has never named a starting quarterback until game week. We went back and looked. He named Joe Milton the starter 3 days before the season opener in 2021. I think the best case scenario is Monday of game week. I think there's a chance he doesn't announce it until it leaks out the night before the season opener.
It's just silly. There are some things you do for a reason. Syracuse is not, Fran Brown is not sitting there going, oh gosh, we got to prepare 2 packages. We got to have a defense ready for Jake Merklinger. That's not happening. I just think some of these mind games are silly for the sake of silly.
If it's making Syracuse waste 30 minutes of preparation on Jake
and I don't
Merklinger,
think
though,
it is.
it's worth it. You know,
I'll see you and I'll raise you. I think game week Monday when they hand out the depth chart, it's going to say Joey Aguilar or Jake Merklinger.
Yeah.
And until you see Joey, number 6, jogging out on the field for that opening drive, they'll go, well, here's Joey Aguilar.
it'll probably have 2 wars on the depth chart.
Yeah,
I mean,
that 100%.
Yeah.
The big thing is, you mentioned the reps, the big thing is the first team work.
Yeah.
That's, it doesn't matter what they say, whether they declare a starter or not. As long as, if you know who it is, they better be getting the most work with the first team.
With your top receivers and your top offensive lineman and center. So.
And I think Tennessee's taken some steps already in that direction. I don't know that Joey Aguilar got all the first team reps in the scrimmage, but he got clearly more from what I understand. So I think
it's not drastic like Heupel answered.
I mean, I think they're doing their best to keep it a mystery while everyone on the team pretty much knows number 6 is the quarterback.
And coaches are paranoid, right?
Oh, yeah.
In most sports. So, I mean, we didn't even have spring games because if you watched a play in the spring, you might get one of my players out of the portal. We can't have that. So you got some of that silliness going on.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of things that are, we do this even though we know it's ridiculous. Well, then stop doing it. And we might hit on something along those lines a little later, also in this show. Any other takes on the quarterback situation? Does anyone feel, it still hasn't sounded to me, it's almost like Aguilar has gotten it. Aguilar was going to be the guy from the start, okay? We said that all offseason. People were mad. People are still mad.
Yes.
If you don't say their guy, if you don't say it's Merklinger, you're cheating Jake. If you don't say it's McIntyre, you're cheating George. It was going to be Aguilar. They paid this man to come in from California. They went out. They tried to get a guy from TCU. They tried to get a guy from Iowa State. Tried to get a guy from Illinois. Kansas State's guy was mentioned as well. Basically, a lot of Big 12.
He has 56 career touchdown passes. Merklinger doesn't have 56 snaps in games.
Right. So it was going to be Aguilar. Do we feel though he's run away with it? I think they would have wanted him to take it and run with it, or is he just getting it because? Well, he was the leader at the start, and he hasn't done anything to lose it.
I was telling someone this yesterday. I think it is a little bit concerning, but again, how much of this is the receivers not being out there, but that we're not talking about how good the passing game looks or anything like that. We're talking about Joey's the guy, which, okay, great, he's the starter, but is he going to be an effective starter, a very good starter? That's what we don't know. And until Braylon Staley, it sounds like they're expecting him to be back out there this week.
Right.
Chris Brazel's been gradually ramping his way up. So he just didn't scrimmage. So if those guys are out there this week, I think Tennessee's hanging a lot of hopes on the next 2 weeks being really valuable time for Aguilar to get into a rhythm with his first team.
I'll ride those coattails. How often do you see a quarterback try to win a job when he's trying to work in a new center, when you're replacing 4 of your 5 offensive linemen, when your wide receivers aren't staying on the field, whether it's due to injury or away from the facility? Look, there is a little bit of a concern that Joey Aguilar didn't take the job, put it in a headlock, as you said. But also that being said, Jake Merklinger didn't take that opportunity to go, I'm going to play catch up as well.
No.
107 days when he takes snaps and 13 days in Atlanta. That's how long Joey Aguilar will have been on campus. Give him as many reps as possible to get him caught up. After Syracuse,
That's where I am,
it's got ETSU. Again, ETSU is going to give you no fight until September 13th when Georgia comes in here.
Yeah, so I'm with you. It's like get Aguilar
Give
ready.
Joey the snaps.
It's one of those things where I understand. If you want to have culture on a team and all this, and you want to, going back, we did this with Mike Stoll and Ollie Lane as soon as Aguilar arrived. How do you run one of these guys and let the team know, no, it was really a competition? Well, you set it up for the starter to look better.
Right.
And he should run away with it. He didn't. So that's a concern. But I would not feel as bad about this whole thing if Tennessee, if you had Joey Aguilar coming in here with veteran receivers who are healthy, with Cooper Mays back at center. Okay. The problem is I haven't heard great things about center going back to the spring. And your receivers have been missing time. That makes it more difficult to get Aguilar ready.
Yes.
And that's what worries me. It's the fact that it's basically him, it's that quarterback, and everybody around the quarterback. Literally, it's the one he depends on most, who are also question marks or have been question marks. So you've been splitting reps and getting these guys to win jobs. I just think that's rough to get them all ready at the same time.
John, along those lines, I don't think many people, including me, think Aguilar's good enough to carry an offense. He's got to have help. And you pointed it out, the receivers and the offensive line. They got improved too.
Between injuries and inexperience, in my personal opinion, this will be Josh Heupel's most difficult year in Knoxville. If he can find success, this will overwrite what they did last year getting to the college football playoff.